Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, Saving for Your Retirement Lifestyle, part 5 in our series on It's Your Money, It's Your Life. We're saving for our retirement lifestyle. Don't be deceived. How whatever you do today will determine how you're going to live tomorrow. So it's really important to get into a mindset that I'm paying myself first with every piece of revenue that I make, whether it's earnings, tax refund, inheritance, money that I made by selling off maybe one of my cars that I didn't need any longer. Whatever your income is, I'm always going to pay myself first before I buy anything later, because it's going to determine how you're going to live. And remember, we're going to be living a lot longer. Think of it. The Guinness Book of World Records. I mean, G. Clement lived to 122 years, 164 days. The America's #1 geriatric, she just died. She was a tricentenarian, old Susanna Jones. She was born in 1899, lived throughout the 20th century, and died May 2016 at 116. She's a tricentenarian, and wow, think about it, 116. Could that be you? Think about it. The average female from a marriage could live average at 93, according to the Wall Street Journal. So that means that half of America will actually live longer than that. I need a retirement that's going to really support my lifestyle. Remember, if you aren't thinking about your lifestyle, you're not thinking clearly about retirement. How do you want to live? How you live in the future will depend upon what you're doing now. Listen, if I'm a young person, boy, if I knew what I knew back in the day, I would be bright and early starting day one. I'm in my 20s. If my employer is matching my 401k, I am doing that all the way up to the match. I will never get free money again. I'd rather live a little lower than my lifestyle today to start funding my lifestyle in the future. Think about it. 401k plans, if you could start in your 20s today and you were just putting, even if it was a small amount, especially if it's to the match, you'll be so happy, because one of the biggest problems to us, baby boomers, my generation, we were called the procrastination nation. We were procrastinating. We didn't really start, including myself, not until my mid to late 30s. So when you think about it, if you're in your 20s, you're just adding. And if you look at the math, and I have wonderful pieces here, if you just want to write me at steve@lifesizesolutions.com, I'll send it to you, because you'll look at the procrastination charts and what it costs you by not starting early. So starting early is the #1 thing. If I can start getting 30 years of contributions, it's going to affect, remember, my 401k plan or my IRA or my defined pension benefit. If I have a defined benefit plan, whatever it is, I want to start early on and start feeding that. Remember, what am I doing? I'm paying myself first. I'm not paying anybody else first. I'm paying myself first. And keep in mind that some of these, they're great for tax deductions now, but when we go into the future in retirement, all this is going to be taxable. And under current code today, it also could influence your Social Security benefits, which also could be taxable because of 401k. So you not only have to look at putting money aside, you have to start looking at money. Hey, if I really don't need the deduction, should I be looking at a 401k and an IRA? I might be wanting to look at a Roth IRA. I might be wanting to look at cash value life insurance. And by the way, heads up, you should all be looking at health savings accounts, HSA accounts. They're totally tax deductible. And on top of that, all the money comes out for medical insurance of any kind. That would be like disability, long-term care, Medicare, and Obamacare. That could be taken from those accounts, but also what could come from those accounts is actually any medical expenses your family incurred. You have children, you have a wife, you have a life, you're going to have some kind of medical problems throughout your life. And even if you had good health like I did and my wife did, we're now in our senior years and we now are looking at Medicare to pick up the bill. I could actually take my HSA account and write my Medicare payment out of that. So just keep in mind, there's a lot of ways to play here, but the big thing is, I want you to start thinking it's a lifestyle decision what you're doing, because that's going to pay or not pay. Now, should I do the IRA way or should I do the Roth IRA? When you look at your effective tax bracket, especially after this new tax law is online, you may find yourself really, by the time they do the marginal blended effective tax bracket, once you find that out from your CPA or your enrolled agents of the IRS or you're a tax accountant, you want to know, what is my bracket? If it's below 20% blended rate, I don't know if I should be in a taxable IRA. I only should be in a 401k because I'm getting a match from my employer. I might want to look at a Roth IRA. I don't get the deduction, true enough, but I don't need it. I'm really in a low effective tax bracket. Most Americans are. There's really no reason to go ahead and tie that money up. Your Roth IRA comes out, it doesn't affect under current code, it doesn't affect your Social Security. You could put money in your Roth IRA, you could put money in your HSA account, you could put your money keep your equity position in your home so that you have a ton of equity in there for reverse mortgage tax-free income and cash value, which right now under current code, the actual withdrawals of policy loans, as long as the contract's kept in force for the life of the insured, that's free. None of those 4 areas, cash value life insurance, reverse mortgage, HSA accounts, and Roth IRAs, none of those fall onto the provisional income test for Social Security. If you don't need the deduction, you should, and you're not getting a match from your employer, you should forget about the IRA, and you should be doing Roth IRA, HSA contributions to the hilt, and cash value life insurance. Those are all free in the end game under current code. So you want to look at the pros and cons. Tax bracket's a big one. And remember, some of these have income phase out. If you make too much money, they may not let you do it. So you just have to talk to your financial advisor or your tax consultant always to find out, is this a good deal for me and do I qualify? And remember, I mentioned just on a side part, life insurance. Shockingly, there's 4 different chassis in life insurance for cash value that you should look at. One of them is participating whole life, another one is universal life, another one is index universal life, and another one is variable universal life. A lot of people that are conservative that want a basic savings plan with guaranteed cash values written in the contract, look at participating whole life. Most of those contracts that are pretty conservative are going to be around 3, right, somewhere in that vicinity, and their dividends can push it up to 5. Those dividends aren't guaranteed, but a lot of these have good history. They're very conservative monies. And so when you look at the guaranteed, and that's where your risk tolerance is, you might want to look at that. Right now, we're not looking at universal life itself. The interest rates have been so low, that performance of that chassis had its day in the early 90s. It doesn't really have the returns it has today. Indexing could be your play. Here's what you get as a give up or a takeaway. The give up, what you're giving up is you're giving up all dividend participation. So if you have an S&P 500 in your indexed universal life and you give up the dividend, you're going to have a ceiling or a cap in the contract more than likely, and you won't participate in the dividends. Here's the good side. You say, well, that's not very good, Steve. I can't get the dividends. But here's what you're getting on the other side of the ledger. You're actually protecting yourself from any downside risk in the account. Remember, you still have bills to pay. So even if you had 0 crediting account in a bad year, you still have to pay bills, which could bring your actual return below 0. But for the most part, people like the hedge because you're not going to take on the S&P negatives of any one year. It's just going to be the lowest number you can get is 0. Just remember, you have expenses in the policy that have to be paid, and that isn't a concern. So some people like indexing with life insurance because it's tax deferred. It could be pulled out strategically if you do the right thing. As long as it's constructed in a compliant way, you can pull it out tax-free. And some people are young enough where they look at variable because it's in the market and you can buy and build a portfolio inside it. People that are very affluent really love it because they can build a tax-free chassis for all their investments. Heads up, it's a little more expensive than universal life, index universal life, so you're paying a little bit more of a premium, but some people say, based on that, I think I like that because I know that I can take this money out free. Check it out. You can even have the S&P 500 inside this, and that fully participates in dividends. So you just have to figure out what's your risk tolerance, how long you're going to hold this. And remember, with life insurance, especially if you're using it for cash value retirement, you need the person who's the proposed insured, the actual insured on the contract, that has to keep in force for the rest of their life. So this isn't a short-term, mid-term, or long-term. This is a lifetime commitment, and I think it's worthwhile if you're building a totally tax-free under current code, a totally tax-free with those 4 items I mentioned besides life insurance, which is the HSA account, the Roth IRA, and under the home equity conversion mortgage, reverse mortgage tax-free income. Remember, this is your retirement we're talking about. What we do today is going to affect the way you live tomorrow, and it's important to think about it. It's a lifestyle that we're funding. Pay yourself first always, and always think about it. By the time you get to retirement, maybe for some millennials, you'll start retiring at 70 because you're going to be living to age 100. Keep it in mind. It's your lifestyle, and it's your life. I want to thank you for watching our series on It's Your Money, It's Your Life, and keep in mind before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, and financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.